presenting them with awards and cash incentives. Yet another testimony to his people-friendly governance. So without any further delay, may I now request Chief Secretary Shri Suresh Chandra Mahapatra, under whose leadership Odisha administration has been witnessing a paradigm shift in governance, to present the opening remarks.
Honorable Chief Minister, sir, Honorable Finance Minister, Agriculture Production Commissioner, other colleagues who are present on the dais, Regional Director RBI, ED UCO Bank, CGM NABARD, District Collectors and LDMs, Controlling Heads of Banks, awardee bank branches, other dignitaries present here, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you. At the outset, I extend a very hearty welcome to all for today's event of Chief Minister's Award to the best performing banks for priority sector lending for the year 2020-21. This is a historic moment for us, as for the first time, the bankers in the state will be recognized and awarded for their performance in credit flow to priority sector in the highest level forum of the state government. We are fortunate Honorable Chief Minister is present with us for awarding the winning branches. This is indeed a landmark initiative by government to create an ecosystem of incentivizing the bankers for boosting credit flow to our farmers, small entrepreneurs, and women SHGs. As all of you know, more than 80% population of the state live in rural areas and depend upon the rural economy for livelihood and employment. The state government's prime focus is on strengthening the rural economy. Agriculture and allied sector, MSMEs and SSGs are the key drivers of rural economy. Adequate and timely credit to these sectors would ensure overall productivity of the economy and generation of employment opportunities for the youth, mostly in rural areas. The award will be given each year in the three categories such as champion banks for the cause of farmers, champion banks for the cause of small entrepreneurs, and champion banks for the cause of women SSGs. The award carries a cash incentive of 5 lakh rupees, 3 lakh rupees, and 2 lakh rupees, respectively, for first, second, and third best performing banks in each sector every year. The Chief Minister's Award for best performing bank branches across three sectors is a token of appreciation to the bankers from the government for ensuring adequate and timely credit to the rural economy. This is the first of its kind in the country wherein bank branches are awarded with cash prize. Out of as many as 5,584 number of bank branches in our state, only 9 bank branches have been selected as champion banks for the year 2020-21. It's a great achievement for those 9 banks. Similarly, at the district level, 270 bank branches are selected for certificate of appreciation for their commendable jobs in credit disbursement across these sectors for the year 2021 at district level. Besides, 2 best performing banks have been selected for outstanding performance under overall priority sector lending and maximum lending for the year 21-22. Dear banker friends, the award and appreciation from the highest level of the government is indeed a prestigious achievement for the banks. This should motivate the bankers to further improve their credit flow to meet the demand for credit of our farmers, entrepreneurs, and women SSGs. I would also urge all district collectors and LDMs to play active role and work closely with the bankers in achieving the SCP target for the respective districts for the current financial year 2022-23. Lastly, I would like to congratulate all the 9 champion bank branches which will be awarded by Honorable Chief Minister today, and expect the other banks to follow the footprints of these banks and improve their performance in priority sector lending in the state so that they will also be awarded in coming years. This will not only improve the total credit uptake in the state but also ensure inclusive economic growth, preferably in rural areas. I wish this event a great success. Thank you everyone. Vande Utkal Janam.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now request Principal Secretary Finance Department, Shri Vishal Kumar Dev, who has always encouraged banks to increase the bar and work towards removal of rural and urban disparity, for his brief presentation on financial inclusion, CD ratio, and priority sector lending.
A very good evening to all. I shall be giving a brief presentation on the annual credit plan for the last financial year. I'll also be talking about the CD ratio and also the financial inclusion situation in our state. Presentation, please. The target for the last financial year as far as the annual credit plan is concerned was 1,10,000 crores, against which we have achieved about 1,02,090 crores. The lending in agriculture, MSME, and exports and social infrastructure sectors has been very good. The lending in housing, renewable energy, and education needs significant improvement. If we look at the achievement, the targets for ACP and the achievements during the last 5 years, there are a few things which stand out. The first is that we've seen a consistent growth of about 18.86% compounded annual growth rate over the last 5 years. Last year also saw the highest ever lending achieved in the state of Odisha at 1,02,090 crores. What is truly remarkable is that during this 5-year period, we have actually doubled the lending from 51,400 crores to 1,02,900 crores. And this, despite the fact that we had a rather stiff target of about 1,10,000 crores for the last financial year, which was 22% more than that of the previous year. Typically, we have targets which increase by about 10%, but we kept a rather stiff target for us, 22%, and we've done rather well. This table shows you the year-on-year growth as far as the achievement of the annual credit plan is concerned. As you can see, all these sectors have shown very good achievement, and what is heartening is that Honorable Chief Minister, who attaches great importance to the development of farmers and for promotion of agriculture, that agriculture sector has seen a growth of 23.78%. We've seen tremendous growth in exports and social infrastructure, as well as in education sectors over the last year. But as I mentioned earlier, we need further improvements. The theme of doubling of the lending runs through all these sectors, whether it's agriculture or MSME. What really stands out is the lending which has been, the credit that has been extended to the women's self-help groups in our state, which has seen a jump of 450%. From 1,521 crores, it has gone to 6,836 crores. And I would like to compliment Secretary Mission Shakti, her team, and all the bankers who have joined hands with the government for achieving this target. This table shows you the achievement of various banks on the annual credit plan for the last financial year. As you can see, there are 3 banks which have achieved more than 100% of their targets: IndusInd Bank, Bandhan Bank, and Indian Overseas Bank. Another 5 banks have achieved between 90% and 100%. Odisha State Cooperative Bank, State Bank of India, Odisha Gramya Bank, ICICI Bank, and Canara Bank. There are 5 banks, however, which have achieved less than 80%. And the situation of 2 banks at the bottom is rather poor. We have the Central Bank of India, which has done just about 48.91% on their ACP target, and HDFC, which stands at 38.51%. I would, in fact, urge both these banks and all others who have done less than 80% to please improve their lending activities in the current year. As desired by Honorable Chief Minister, we shall also be taking up the issue of poor lending performance with the respective managements of these banks. Here, you see, while we rank the banks on the percentage achievement of the target that was given to them, we must not forget that the quantum of lending is also very important. So if you look at the targets of ACP across the 19 empaneled banks, it starts from 836 crores to Bandhan Bank and goes up to 29,881 crores for State Bank of India, which happens to be the largest bank in our state. So the quantum of lending also becomes very important, and I would therefore like to commend State Bank of India and the Odisha State Cooperative Bank, both of which have done about 95% of the achievement despite very high targets. Punjab National Bank has also done well at 85%. I would, as I said earlier, I would urge the other banks to please follow the footsteps of these leading banks and do better in the current year and the future years. We have before us the performance of various districts on achievement of the annual credit plan. This whole exercise is led by the collector of the district along with the lead district managers of the various banks of the district. As we can see, there are 10 districts which have achieved more than 100% of their targets. These are Kendrapada, Jajpur, Sundargarh, Nayagarh, Sambalpur, Balasore, Cuttack, Baud, Sonpur, and Keonjhar. My compliments to the collectors, the LDMs, and their colleagues of all these 10 districts. There are 6 districts which have achieved less than 70% of the ACP target. These are Nuapada, Navrangpur, Kalahandi, Kandhamal, Malkangiri, and the lowest being Dhenkanal at 59.67%. I would urge the collectors of these districts to put in more efforts to see that the ACP performance improves. Like in the case of the banks, I mentioned about the quantum of lending being very important. The same holds true of the districts also. And as you can see, the 5 districts here, Khurda, Cuttack, Sundargarh, Ganjam, and Balasore account for about 50% of the state's achievement on the annual credit plan. And Khurda alone accounts for about 21% of the total state's achievement. So I would like to commend Collector Khurda also for achieving the maximum lending on the ACP for the last financial year. The credit deposit ratio for any state is a very important banking parameter which basically indicates the percentage of funds that are mobilized by way of deposits that are channelized into the lending channel. And therefore, this is something which we have been harping upon as far as various meetings with various banks are concerned. And I'm happy to share that there has been a significant improvement over the last 5 years. We have not only been able to arrest the declining trend from 69.73% to 56.45% of last year. We've actually improved it to 72.22% during the last financial year, which is higher than that of the national average. As you can see, the national level CD ratio stands at 71.6%, whereas ours is 72.2%. And the Reserve Bank of India mandates a minimum of 60% as CD ratio for all the banks. We'll see the position of various banks on CD ratio in the next slide. So this gives the CD ratio of all the 19 empaneled banks. As you can see, there are 2 banks which have maintained a CD ratio of more than 100. IndusInd Bank at 184 and Odisha State Cooperative Bank at 129%. My compliments to both the banks for their outstanding performance. There are 8 banks which are below the RBI mandated ratio of 60. And I would urge these banks to improve their performance. What is an area of concern is also that there are 5 banks which have a CD ratio of less than 50%. Central Bank of India, 37.93, Utkal Gramya Bank, Odisha Gramya Bank, Indian Bank, and Indian Overseas Bank. All these banks, I would once again urge to work harder to improve their CD ratio. I now come to the last agenda of my presentation, which is financial inclusion. And I'd like to share that this is an area which remains a major cause of concern for us in Odisha, primarily on account of the very low penetration of the banking network in our state. against a national average of 18.12 bank branches per lakh of population. The figure in Odisha stands at 13.06, which is way below the national average. If you look at the ATM penetration, we have about 22.32 ATMs per lakh of population nationally, whereas in Odisha, it is just about 18.15. So increasing the number of bank branches as well as the number of ATMs in the state remains a very high priority for us. We have a total of 5,584 brick and mortar bank branches in our state. All of these 5,500 are spread in just about 2,738 GPs, which means an average of 2 bank branches per GP. And these 2,738 GPs are out of 6,798 GPs, which means that 60% of our gram panchayats, about 4,060 gram panchayats, do not have brick and mortar branches. Almost all of them have a meager and very weak banking presence by way of banking correspondents, IPPP facilities or customer service points. But our objective is to see that we have more and more GPs which are covered under the network of brick and mortar branches. In fact, 22 GPs have nothing at all. Not a brick and mortar branch, no IPPP point, no CSP, no banking correspondent agents. And this is an area which we really have to work hard to improve. This is all that I had to share with you. I would once again urge all the bankers, the entire banking fraternity to come forward and join hands with the government of Odisha for improving all the parameters for lending more so that the same can be channelized into economic growth activities for the state and state growth. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to agriculture, Odisha has been showing the way with IT-driven transformation and farmers' empowerment schemes like Kalia. We have amidst us today APC cum ACS Agriculture and Farmers Empowerment Department, Shri Sanjeev Chopra. May I now request him for a brief presentation on credit linkages to farmers.
Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Minister of Finance, Chief Secretary, other senior colleagues on the dais, ED, UCO Bank, RD, RBI, my colleagues from the state government.
I'll also be requesting all dignitaries to use this podium.
Apologies. Honorable Chief Minister, Minister of Finance, Chief Secretary, other senior colleagues on the dais, Regional Director, Reserve Bank of India, my colleagues from state government, the Bank of Friends, ladies and gentlemen. It's indeed a privilege for me to be here today and present a small brief on what's happening to the agri-credit sector in the state. I'd like to congratulate the Finance Department for having organized this event, which is a great forum to acknowledge the good efforts and the great work which is being done by the bankers in Odisha. I have a small presentation which will probably take maybe 3-4 minutes. First slide. Next. Next. So this just shows the increasing trend in the crop loan disbursement in the state. How in a matter of about 5 years, we've increased the crop loan from 16,000 crores to about 27,000 crores in the previous year. One issue that we're finding is that the share of the cooperative banks is going down gradually, which is a good sign. If you see the national figure, the cooperative banks are lending about 1/3 of the total crop lending, whereas in Odisha it's traditionally been very high, but it's coming down, and I think that's a good sign. Next. Term loans actually are very important for the agriculture sector. I don't need to emphasize on that. Unless the capital investment takes place in agriculture, the productivity cannot go up. So again, a very heartening feature is that the term loan disbursement for capital investment in agriculture, that's going up. And if you see, in the past 2 years, 2019-20 and 2021-22, it's almost doubled. However, next slide, the worrying feature is that the per capita lending to farmer families for term loans is probably among the lowest in the country. So if you see the per capita lending, we are at about 26,810. The all India figure is about 46,543 rupees. Punjab, of course, is doing much more, but even comparable states like Assam or Telangana, even I think they are doing, West Bengal, they are doing much more than what we are doing. So I think that's some food for thought for all of us as to how to ensure that the sector which is in dire need of term loans gets its due in the coming years. Next. The Mukhyamantri Krishi Udyog Yojana is the flagship scheme for agri-industrialization. It's a scheme which is unparalleled in the country, where up to 50 lakh rupees of subsidies given by the government to agri-entrepreneurs. However, it is a matter of concern that in the past about 5 years, it started in 2018, almost now 5 years going, and we've not even grounded 600 units. For a state like Odisha, which has almost maybe 82% of the population staying in the rural areas, I think this number is definitely a figure which I think should concern all of us. So this number we need to increase, and we have done some reforms in the recent past to ensure that this scheme gets the importance it deserves. We have added new enterprises. The processes of subsidy administration have been streamlined. We have delegated most of the things to the field level so that the things get done quickly, the approvals get done faster, subsidy gets released quicker. And recently you may have heard that we launched the first single window portal for farmers in the country called Go Sugam, which is the government of Odisha single window unified gateway for agrarian management. Here, any agri-entrepreneur, after getting his loan sanctioned under MKUI, can also apply to other departments like it could be Pollution Control Board or Labor or any other department for any departmental clearances that are required. He can go through that one single portal rather than approaching each department individually. Next slide. Horticulture is a sector which has great potential. We've been talking about this for a long time. However, we have not done as much as we should have for horticulture. We are trying to become self-sufficient in fruits and vegetables in the state. So it's again a matter of, it's a little disconcerting that we have a large number of applications pending for MIDH, which is the horticulture mission. And out of the total number of applications, almost 93% are pending for sanction. So that's one area that I would request the banker friends to kindly have a look so that we can increase the lending to horticulture sector. Next. Balram again is a flagship program of the state government where we are trying to give institutional credit to the landless farmers by forming them into groups called joint liability groups. The target is to have 1 lakh groups formed in the state in the next 5 years. So, of course, if you see, the performance has definitely gone up over the past year. We have formed about 23,000 JLGs against 11,000 in the previous year, and sanctioned, banks have sanctioned loan to 6,000 of these JLGs in the previous year. But again, when you look at the figures in the bottom half of the slide, we find that majority of these have been done by the cooperative banks. So that's again an area where we could probably give greater attention. And even among the districts, Ganjam and Kendrapada, they account for almost 90% of the cases sanctioned. So it's been driven largely by the bankers and the district administration in these two districts. So I'd request a similar kind of team approach could be there in other districts between the bankers and the district administration to increase the lending for these joint liability groups. Also, there were some issues of CIBIL charges being levied by some banks. 9 banks have already waived the CIBIL charges. I'll request the other banks also to do likewise. Next. So the one innovation that we are doing in the state to increase lending for the farm sector is to come up with a credit portal. So right now we have a lot of deliberation in the SLBC, so figures being exchanged back and forth, so many figures, so many cases have gone, so many cases have not been sanctioned. So to make things more transparent, we got the approval of the SLBC last February to set up a credit portal. So this credit portal will ensure that the farmers apply through this particular portal for all loans with regard to agriculture and the allied sectors. Information about various bank loan products and model DPRs will be available so that it improves the application quality. And there'll be a checklist for application submissions that will ensure that no application which is not complete gets submitted, and then again there is a back and forth between the bankers and the applicant. Next slide. So this portal, as you would appreciate, has immense advantages over the previous system. Farmers have an ease in applying for loans. They are able to prepare quality DPRs, which will be customizable depending on the extent of the project that they would like to undertake. The banks will have increased access to loan seekers and quality loan seekers. We are linking this with the Krishak Odisha portal, which has authentic database on about 90 fields on each farmer family. So you don't need to do, again, a due diligence and re-verification of his land holding, etc., his Aadhaar number, telephone number. Everything will be mapped on this particular portal. So it will be easier for you to do the sanction, and the turnaround time for loan applications will be much faster. For the government, of course, the main benefit is that when I come to you in the SLBC, I'll be having more concrete figures with me so that we can have a more purposeful discussion in the SLBC meetings. So I thank the department once again, thank all the bankers once again, and congratulate the ones which are getting awarded in today's meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. From agriculture, we move to the vibrant MSME sector in Odisha that has not only been propelling the state's economic growth, but has been consistently contributing to employment generation. May I now request Principal Secretary, MSME Department, Srimati Ranjana Chopra, for a brief presentation on cradle linkages to MSMEs.
Honorable Chief Minister Odisha, Honorable Finance Minister, Chief Secretary, colleagues from different departments, collectors, and friends from the banking industry. MSME sector, which is often called as the sunrise sector, after agriculture employs the largest number of people in the state of Odisha, giving direct employment to 30 lakh people, out of which 8 lakh are women. So this sector has both opportunities and challenges in financing from formal financing institutions, and in a brief presentation, I would be sharing that with the friends from banking industry and my colleagues from the government. Presentation, please. In this slide, you can see a comparison between the sectoral target and achievement in the last 3 years. In case you were to look at the bar graph very carefully, you would find that while in MSME sector, against the target set, the achievement is about 47% of the total lending that is happening in the priority sector in 1920. In 21-22, this figure had come down to 41.6%. In 1920 to 21-22, the total volume of lending by quantum or volume has definitely increased by 24%. But for the last 3 years consecutively, the achievement is higher than the target fixed. For that, I would like to commend and thank the bankers for the work that they have done in the MSME priority sector lending. Next, please. In case we were to analyze the annual credit plan further, one finds that out of the total lending, in 1920, 48% was going to micro sector. In 21-22, the figure remains the same, it is about 48%. But in the small scale industry, in 1920, it was 36.5. But in 21-22, it has come down considerably to 27.8%. But in medium scale industry, it has gone up from 14 to 23%. While we are happy that medium scale industry is able to access finance more easily, the issue of concern is that the small scale industry should not be left out in this growth momentum. Next, please. In case we look at the total balance outstanding, both in service and manufacturing sector, as on 31/3/2022, one would find that in the micro sector, the services constitute about 43%, in small it is about 31%, and in medium it is 26%. So manufacturing is largely in the medium and in micro, whereas small is largely in the services sector. And in Odisha, because of the definition of turnover and investment, even something like hair salons, the retail stores, etc., are also coming under the MSME sector. But I would request the bankers, and this is what we are gradually moving on by various discussions with them, that we have to concentrate and look at the units which are manufacturing, because they are the actually drivers of economic growth and also would be generating more employment for the state. Next, please. Coming to the two flagship schemes where we need to work very closely with the bankers are the PMEG and PMFME. While the performance in PMEG is satisfactory, But the PMFME is an area of great concern. In PMEG, in case you see, one would find that against a target of 6,000, there has been a considerable improvement from 2021. This year, we have been able to achieve credit linkage to about 5,000 beneficiaries. And we have also been able to give the margin money of about 12,000 crores, which is also a very good figure. 125 crores. But the challenges in this particular scheme are that there is a very high rate of rejection and low ticket size of the credit given. Next, please. In PMFME, again, the performance is slightly disconcerting. We have not been able to do much in PMFME. My request to the banker friends, I will use this forum to urge them that there are about 522 applications which are pending in the process from last year's process. So I would request you to look at these 522 applications, and in case we can rejuvenate that and sanction that, that will really be helpful. So challenges again in PMFME are the high rate of rejection from the banks, less outreach, and also the processing of the applications which are lying in the system but not processed by the various bankers. Next, please. In case we look at the ACP target, I would actually go along with the presentation which is made by the Principal Secretary Finance, and in sync with what he had said. In case we look at the MSME priority sector lending, we find that the top bankers as far as the target and achievement is concerned would be Bank of Maharashtra, Indian Bank, and State Bank of India. But in case one was to look at the quantum, then one finds that State Bank of India actually has the lion's share with more than 13,000 crores, followed by Union Bank of India, then Punjab National Bank, and Indian Bank. I would like to congratulate and at the same time thank the bankers for helping the MSME sector in this regard. Next, please. Finally, these are the few challenges that we are facing in the MSME sector lending, and I would draw the attention of all the colleagues from the banking industry. The SC/ST coverage continues to be very, very low in all the schemes. The financing by the banks, there are certain constraints like projects are sanctioned with less amount, that is, the underfinancing is happening. Sanctioned projects are not fully disbursed, and second disbursement does not happen in many cases in one financial year. Inordinate delay in processing of applications, limited financial powers delegated to the branch managers, because of which a lot of time is being taken. And from the perspective of the bank, there is inadequate CIBIL score, non-cooperation of applicants are not interested, and number of sponsored applications are very low. So we are having regular meetings, and I am very, very positive that as we go along, we'll be able to tide over these constraints and work towards strengthening the MSME sector in the state. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, talk of women SHGs in Odisha of Mission Shakti. What comes to mind is revolution. May I now request Commissioner cum Secretary Mission Shakti Department, Srimati Sujata Karthikeyan, for her brief presentation on credit linkages to women SHGs.
Honorable Chief Minister, Honorable Finance Minister, Chief Secretary, senior officers, collectors, and bankers. Good evening to all. Presentation, please. Next. This statement by Honorable Chief Minister highlights the importance given to women's empowerment in the state of Odisha. And for Mission Shakti, this is basically our mission statement. Two historic and pioneering decisions have been taken under the leadership of Honorable Chief Minister in the past few years, which has opened the floodgates of women-led entrepreneurship in our state. First being the setting up of a separate department of Mission Shakti, which is the department for all SHGs in the state, providing a single platform. And the second being the cabinet directive to source 5,000 crore worth of goods and services from self-help groups to the various departments that function in the state. So sometimes targets and statistics do not tell us the whole picture. So I would just like to give a glimpse of what the credit linkage to women actually means. Because banking sector, if we have to increase women-led entrepreneurship in the state, banks have to play a critical role. Paddy procurement. Please go back. Please go to the first picture. Yes. So with HDFC support, we have set up 3 major pickle units across the state, and these are women who have taken loan of 25 lakh. They are catering to 10 districts Ahar centers, and they are making good profit of 7 lakh per annum. So this is where the banking sector can help us support big enterprises of women. Next. Pisciculture, as per state government policy, all GP tanks are leased out first to women's groups. So this you see is Ma Jagat Janani SHG of Puri that has taken a loan of 34 lakh over a period of time, that has got an interest subvention of 1.6 lakh. And these women now educate their daughters who go outside the state. They pay for the medical expenses. And during COVID, they have actually taken up the loan burden of their family. Next. We promote the setting up of Mission Shakti cafes across the state. If you see, we have the aim of setting up 500 such cafes run solely by Mission Shakti women. And this is a story of Adarsh SHG of Similiguda in far off Koraput that has taken a loan of 9 lakh, set up a Mission Shakti cafe there, and their income from this cafe alone per month is 50,000 rupees. Next. Across the state, 2,200 banking correspondent agents of Mission Shakti work night and day to provide banking services to the unbanked GPs. And their average earning per SHG per woman is 5,000 to 15,000 per month. Last month, the NSAP beneficiaries, the old age assistant, widow pension, other pensions were given through our banking correspondents, which helped nearly 20 lakh vulnerable people across the state. Next. So it is in this context that I urge all bankers to support the Mission Shakti scheme and actively participate in it. Now, if we see the story of SHG bank linkage, from 2014-15, it started with a modest 500 crores, and today, even with a COVID year, we have exceeded our targets and reached 6,800 crores. Next year, our target is 9,000 crores, and over the next 5 years, it will be 50,000 crores to women SHGs. This is in terms of actual number of groups helped. If you see the 21-22 figures, 3 lakh SHG groups were helped by the bankers, which is almost half the number of SHGs in the state. Next. This is the bank-wise figure, and as you see, 2 banks have actually outperformed in this sector, and they take up 50% of the loan disbursement, which is SBI and OGB. And I would urge all other bankers to kindly step up. Next. So this is it. The orange and the blue quarters belong to SBI and OGB, and they take up nearly half the share. Next. The average loan size has also been increasing, and now it has reached 2.2 lakhs. But again, 2.2 lakhs per SHG is not such a great figure because it works out to just 20,000 per member. So we are aiming at almost 3.5 to 4 lakh per group in the next 2 to 3 years. And our NPA has also been reducing, and we should in the next 2 years bring it below 3%. Next. The state interest subvention, this is a purely state-driven interest subvention which is given for loans up to 3 lakh. You see, it started again at a modest 15 crore, and now it has reached 162 crore last year. So 162 crore worth of payments was made to SHGs, and this year, coming year, we target 200 crore. In the next 5 years, we target 1,200 crore worth of interest subvention going directly to SHGs. This is again the bank-wise figure. Because SBI and OGB have been disbursing the greatest amount of bank loans, their interest subvention figures are also the highest. Next. Business correspondent agents are working across the state. And again, there are certain banks that have placed more business correspondent agents. I would urge all bankers to come forward and partner with us, because a lot of DBT and a lot of government money is going to be routed through the banking correspondent agents, and they will work as if not as good as brick and mortar banks, but they will provide a very, very important service in the unbanked areas. Next. So as I discussed, the way forward is 50,000 crores in the next 5 years. Interest subvention of 1,200 crores, and a BCA network of 5,000 BCAs across all the GPs of Odisha. So this is where all of you have to step up, and meet the aspirational needs of our SHG women, so that Mission Shakti, under the leadership of Honorable Chief Minister, can provide a unique identity, a parichay to all our women who are expecting this from us. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. May I now request Executive Director, UCO Bank, Mr. Ishaq Ali Khan, more than 33 years of experience in the field of banking and information technology, for his address.
Honorable Chief Minister, Government of Odisha, Shri Naveen Patnaik ji, Honorable Finance and Excise Minister, Government of Odisha, Shri Niranjan Pujari ji, Honorable Chief Secretary, Shri Suresh Mahapatra ji, and all the dignitaries on the dais, and all secretaries and directors of different departments of Government of Odisha, all collectors connected through web, controlling heads of different banks, and other participants of the Chief Minister's Award to Best Performing Banks in Priority Sector Lending for year 2020 to 21. And ladies and gentlemen, good evening to everyone. It's given me immense pleasure to be the part of this Chief Minister's Award presentation ceremony. This is indeed a landmark initiative of the state government to present the Chief Minister's Award, which carries cash incentive to the best performing banks for their significant contribution in priority sector lending. This way, Odisha has set an example for other states at the national level. I, on behalf of banking fraternity in the state, extend my sincere thanks to the Honorable Chief Minister for such innovative step, and assure that this will further motivate all the bankers in the state to boost up credit lending under priority sector. The dynamic support for the state government machineries in terms of infrastructure provisions and coordination is instrumental for the banks to achieve the desired objective of the inclusive growth and upliftment of the marginalized class, besides acting as a lifeline for fiscal system of the state. During financial year 21-22, under the able guidance of the state government's functionaries, the achievements in the annual credit plan has increased to 93.06, as shown on the web, from 88.39% this financial year 2021. Similarly, the CDA ratio of the state has been increased to 72.22% from 56.45% of the last year CD ratio. The state government's poor schemes like Balaram, MKU, top-up interest subvention in agriculture crop loan, term loans, ECLGS, HSG credit linkage is playing a vital role for upliftment of the downtrodden in the society, and also ensure better employment opportunity for Odisha people. The achievement under annual credit plan during the financial year 21-22 is 93.06%. The total priority sector loan disbursement is 1,02,590.26 crore against the annual target of 1,10,241.02 crores. For the first time, total priority sector loan disbursement crossed the landmark of 1 lakh crore, and the target of agriculture, allied, MSME and SHG finance have been surpassed. For the current year, financial year 22-23, ACP target is fixed for 1,34,664.87 crore, and in coordination with the state government machineries, I am hopeful that banks will achieve the target for this current financial year. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Finance Minister Shri Niranjan Pujari has always emphasized on the need for increasing bank credit for priority sector in Odisha, and it will be now my privilege to request him for his address.
Honorable Chief Minister of Odisha, Chief Secretary, APC ACS, other dignitaries in the dais, secretaries of the various departments present here, Regional Director RBI, Executive Director EcoBank, dear bankers, district collectors, LDMs, and the ARD banks. It is a great privilege for me to attend this special occasion wherein Honorable Chief Minister will be presenting award to the best performing banks of the state under priority sector lending for the financial year 2020-21. Odisha is one of the fastest growing economies in the country. The state's economy has grown faster than national economy during the last 10 years. Odisha is one of the top destinations of investment and considered as a role model of good governance in the country. We have achieved several milestones and added new feathers to our growth story in various sectors under the dynamic leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister. Around 80% of the population of the state still lives in rural area, and it is our prime goal to strengthen the rural economy, make it self-sufficient, and to ensure a decent standard of living for the rural people. The three major drivers of the rural economy, agriculture, MSME, and SSG need attention for all-round development in this sector. State government has been persistently making policy intervention for the betterment of these three sectors. However, in order to channelize the private investment, particularly the credit flow from banks during the budget 2020-21, we had announced Chief Minister Award to the best performing banks. The award will be given every year in three categories, such as Champion Banks for cause of farmers, Champion Bank for the cause of small entrepreneurs, and Champion Banks for the cause of women SSG. Today is a historic day for us, as Honorable Chief Minister himself will be awarding the champions banks for their outstanding performance in credit lending to farmers, small entrepreneurs, and women SSG. This indicates the state commitment towards the poor and vulnerable section in meeting their demand for credit. It is heartening to note that the state for the first time has surpassed the annual credit plan achievement beyond rupees 1 lakh crore for the year 2021-22. I want to congratulate all banks for disbursing credit to the tune of 1.03 lakhs crore, which is more than 93% of annual credit plan target for the year 2021-22 as compared to their achievement of 88% in 2020-21. We wish all banks to continue the momentum and increase the total credit uptake and help expanding the credit outreach in the state. Dear bankers, you all are important stakeholders in the development of this state. Credit is the most vital impetus for our entrepreneurs, farmers, and SSG for running up their business. I urge all of you to come forward and support them through credit linkage for sustainable and inclusive economic growth of this state. Thank you, everyone. Bande Utkal Janani.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the moment for which we all had been waiting has arrived. It is now time for the presentation of the Chief Minister Award to 9 champion banks for 2021, along with certificates of appreciation to some banks for their performance for 2021-2022. May I now request Honorable Chief Minister Shri Naveen Patnaik to do the honors and give away the awards amidst, of course, a huge round of applause from all of you. As I announce the winners, I'll also request the next recipients to be ready. So we will start with the champion banks for the cause of farmers, the first category. And the first prize goes to Central Bank of India, Balangir branch, with a cash incentive of rupees 5 lakh. I'll request the branch manager along with state head or the team to join on dais to receive the award from the Honorable CM. And we'll also request the next recipient to be ready. Yes. The next would be, the second prize would be Axis Bank, Raigada branch, Raigada district. Cash award of rupees 3 lakh. We'll request all of them to the third prize winner also to be ready, please. Axis Bank, Sambalpur branch, Sambalpur district with a cash incentive of rupees 2 lakh. The next category, the third prize goes to Axis Bank, Sambalpur branch, Sambalpur district with a cash incentive of rupees 2 lakh. I'll please request them to join us on the dais. And I'll move to the second category as well. This is for champion bags for the cause of small entrepreneurs. The first prize goes to Union Bank of India, Balangir branch from Balangir district with a cash incentive of rupees 5 lakh. We'll please request them to come to the for the cause of small entrepreneurs. First prize, Union Bank of India, Balangir branch, Balangir district, cash incentive of rupees 5 lakh. Second prize would be Bank of India, Jaidev Bihar branch, Khurda district, cash incentive of rupees 3 lakh. And we'll also request the third winner to be ready, Union Bank of India, Talcher branch, Angul district, with a cash incentive of rupees 2 lakh. Can we have a round of applause as well, ladies and gentlemen? Come on. The second winner. The third winner, Union Bank of India, Talcher branch, Angul district. The next category would be champion banks for the cause of women SHGs. I'll request all the recipients to please come close to the stage. The first one would be State Bank of India, Kantamanji branch, Balangir district, with a cash incentive of rupees 5 lakh. The next would be State Bank of India. After that, Dungripalli branch, Subarnapur district, cash incentive of rupees 3 lakh. And the third winner in this category would be State Bank of India, Kalimira branch, Malkangiri district, with a cash incentive of rupees 2 lakh. So I'll request all recipients to be. Yes, State Bank of India, Dungripalli branch. And then and the last one would be the from Malkangiri district, SBI Kalimila branch. Can we have a huge round of applause for all the champion banks for the cause of farmers, small entrepreneurs and women SHGs. We also have some certificate of appreciation for 2021-22. The first one would be Best Performing Bank for Maximum Lending in Agriculture Sector for the year 21-22. And I'll request the state head or the controlling head to receive the certificate. That goes to Odisha State Cooperative Bank. The first certificate of appreciation. The next one would be Best Performing Bank for Maximum Lending in MSME sector for the year 2021-2022. And that goes to State Bank of India. The applause should keep coming, ladies and gentlemen. The next would be Best Performing Bank for Maximum Lending to Women Self-Help Groups for the year 2021-22, which goes to Odisha Gramya Bank. Odisha Gramya Bank, maximum lending to women SHGs. And then the next would be Best Performing Bank for Maximum Lending in Priority Sector for 2021-22, which goes to State Bank of India. State Bank of India for Maximum Lending in Priority Sector. And last but not the least, Best Performing Bank for Overall Priority Sector Lending for the year 2021-22, which goes to IndusInd Bank. Congratulations to all the winners, and once again, a huge round of applause for all of them, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, where Odisha steps today, that turns into a stepping stone of success for others tomorrow. And under the visionary leadership of our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Naveen Patnaik, Odisha has indeed led the way and shown the way with rapid strides in development on all fronts, be it food security, women empowerment, farmer empowerment, a vibrant ecosystem for entrepreneurs, or the 5T and the Mo Sarkar initiatives that have ushered in a new era for people-friendly governance in the state. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the address of our Honorable Chief Minister, Shri Naveen Patnaik.
Honorable Minister, Chief Secretary, senior officers and bankers, I'm glad that since my last meeting with the bankers and collectors, there has been noticeable improvement in credit disbursement by the banking fraternity under the priority sector lending. I'm also glad to know that all banks together have disbursed credit to the tune of rupees 1.03 lakh crores and achieved more than 93% of the annual credit plan for 21-22. Despite the pandemic, we need to continue this momentum. My government accords high priority to safeguarding and protecting the interests of the vulnerable and disadvantaged groups in our state. We need to support farmers, mission Shakti groups, and MSMEs. Our prime thrust is on availability of adequate and timely credit to the farmers. I appreciate the efforts of the district administration of Jajpur, Sundargarh, Kendrapara, Bodh and Khurda for their outstanding achievement. I expect Dhenkanal, Puri, Kandhamal and Malkangiri to improve their lending to agriculture sector. I'm happy to know that bankers in the state have disbursed 95% of the annual credit target under agriculture during 21-22, which is the highest during the last 5 years. I congratulate Odisha State Cooperative Bank, IndusInd Bank, Indian Overseas Bank, and Bandhan Bank for their good performance. I urge HDFC Bank, Central Bank of India, Odisha Grama Bank, and IDBI Bank to improve their performance. I'm happy that the credit flow to MSME sector has been surpassing in its annual credit target for the last 5 years. I appreciate Nagar, Kendrapara, Sundargarh and Ganjam and Rayagada districts for doing extremely well in lending to MSMEs. Districts like Gajpati and Deoghar need to disburse more credit to MSMEs. State Bank of India has given the maximum credit support to MSMEs to the tune of rupees 15,762 crores during 21-22. Similarly, IndusInd Bank, Indian Bank, Bank of Baroda, Union Bank of India, UCO Bank, and ICICI Bank have also exceeded the annual target. However, HDFC Bank and Bandhan Bank have to increase their credit flow to MSMEs. Credit support to Mission Shakti Group is one of the top priorities of my government. I want to congratulate all the bankers for achieving the financial target under SHG sector well ahead of time. However, we need to focus on increasing the average size of loan for Mission Shakti groups. The State Cabinet has recently decided to provide credit support to Mission Shakti groups to the tune of rupees 50,000 crores in the next 5 years. I also congratulate all the districts for achieving the annual financial target under Mission Shakti. Ganjam, Baleshwar, Angul, Dhenkanal, Puri and Cuttack have done extremely well in financing SAGs. I thank OGP, SBI, UGP, HDFC, Punjab National Bank, and UCO Bank for supporting the Mission Shakti group members. I urge Axis Bank, IDBI Bank, and Punjab and Sindh Bank to come forward and help financing the SAG groups in a big way. I also want to thank Khurda, Cuttack, Kendrapara, Sundargarh and Ganjam districts, and Odisha State Cooperative Bank, State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, and Union Bank of India for the overall performance in terms of volume of total credit flow to priority sector. For the current financial year, the state has fixed an ambitious annual credit target of rupees 1.34 lakh crore, keeping in view the higher demand for credit. I hope all the districts and banks will strive hard to achieve their respective annual credit target. The bank should also make efforts for their better credit linkage in all the three priority sector areas. I congratulate the best performing bank for the awards they received today. I hope these champion banks will be exemplary models for other banks. Bande Utkal Jana.
Thank you so much to our Honorable Chief Minister for this inspiring address and encouraging banks for priority sector lending. Could I now request Director Institutional Finance, Dr. Pragya Smita Sahu, to present the vote of thanks.
Good evening, everyone. As you bring down the curtains in today's momentous event, I deem it a distinct honor to offer the vote of thanks. Time is indeed the greatest gift that God has bestowed on us. It is said that when you give someone your time, you are giving a portion of your life that you'll never get back. First and foremost, I express my heartfelt sincere gratitude to Honorable CM for sparing his valuable time to present the Chief Minister's Award to the best performing banks of the state. His gracious presence has indeed made the event a remarkable one and gives a strong message of state's commitment towards meeting the demand for credit by different segments of the economy. I convey my sincere thanks to Honorable Finance Minister for his presence today to encourage the district collectors and bankers by his insightful words. I take this opportunity to thank respected Chief Secretary, sir, for highlighting the essence of CM Award and motivating the bankers and district collectors to improve lending under priority sector. I convey my sincere thanks to APC-LCS, to Agriculture and Farmers Empowerment Department, Principal Secretary MSME Department, and Commissioner-Secretary Mission Shakti Department for their excellent presentation on respective sectors with regard to credit linkage and achievement under SCP for the year 2021-22. I express my gratitude to Principal Secretary Finance for his presentation on total priority sector lending for the year 21-22 and his guidance and supervision to organize the event in a befitting manner. My thanks goes to ED EcoBank for his words of appreciation for the unique initiative by the government for recognizing and awarding the best performing bank branches with cash award. I would also like to thank Regional Director RBI, CGM NABARD, CGM SBI, SLBC convener and controlling heads of the bank for being present today to encourage the bankers and make this event a memorable one. I express my gratitude to secretaries and senior officials of various departments for attending today's event, making it more meaningful. I would like to convey my thanks to district collectors and LDMs who play a key role in achieving the targets under priority sector lending. An event like this never takes place overnight. The wheels start rolling weeks ago. My thanks and congratulations to all my teammates who have really worked hard to make this event a successful one. Last but not the least, my thanks and best wishes to the awardee banks for which today's event was planned for. Please keep up your efforts for coming years also. Once again, thanks to one and all who are being present today to make this event a grand success. Thank you all.
May I have your permission, sir, to read out the appointment of the ministers designate?
Permission is given.
Order of appointment. Professor Ganeshi Lal, Governor of Odisha, in exercise of the powers conferred by Clause 1 of Article 164 of the Constitution of India, and on the advice of the Chief Minister Odisha, do hereby appoints the following members of the Odisha Legislative Assembly to be the new ministers of the Council of Ministers. Shri Prafulla Kumar Mallik, Cabinet Minister.
नवीन पट्टनायक मंत्रिमंडल रे थिले खनि मंत्री भावरे
श्री प्रफुल्ल कुमार मल्लिक ईश्वर नाम शपथ करुछु जे मु विधि द्वारा प्रतिष्ठित भारतर संविधान प्रति श्रद्धा और निष्ठा रखिबी, भारतर सार्वभौमत्व और अखंडता रक्षा करी, ओडिशा राज्यर मंत्री रूपे मोर कर्तव्य श्रद्धा और शुद्ध अंतःकरण निर्वाह करी एवं बिना भय बा पक्षपातरे बिना अनुराग बा दोषरे सबु प्रकार लोकं प्रति संविधान और विधि अनुसार न्याय करी।
मु